Hi, my name is Tammy Reger, and today I want to talk about how you can get out of the repeating cycles that you have been in since Atlantis that are causing the same experience to happen outside of you. Let's get started with that. When we manifested on Earth as a soul through our higher self, we came to a planet that was Earth School. And we learned through play and discovery, and things just were. Everything we desired happened because we were just in the energy of joy and bliss and peace. It's just the way it was. And then we start to get into the Atlantean times and things start to go very much sideways. And we've been pretty much in that same cycle of rinse and repeat sense. And that includes the chaotic climate we are in today. And today I want to talk about how those cycles are causing each one of us to manifest the same reality over and over and over again, where we seem to repeat the same patterns about 100 years or so. Now it's about every 100 years, at least in the last 250 years, it's been about every 100 years where we seem to repeat the same cycle. And while there's a lot of energy to fight it, there's a lot of energy to be super aware of it, there's a lot of energy to feel trapped by it, or powerlessness, fear, anxiety, that's actually not helping you at all. Universal law of attraction is what universal law of attraction is what you pay attention to the most, what you focus on the most is what you're going to get more of. So we don't want to focus on all those same cycles over and over again. And the cycle that we're in now, because we're truly awakening to who we really are and being able to really consciously create our reality, we're being given a choice as to we want to continue to repeat those cycles over and over and over again, or do we want to do the work so that we don't have to do that anymore? And in this video, I'm going to talk a lot about the founding fathers, but I really want to go back to Atlantis for you to understand the setup to this. There were like 4 different iterations of Atlantis before it finally bit the dust. And then we go into ancient Egypt and then the Roman Empire and all the hierarchies and that in Europe. And then we move into the US in a very short time frame. But in Atlantis, a lot changed. The way things were changed. And while there is a sense to blame other parties, it really is us that created that. We made choices in Atlantis that are still affecting us to this day. They're not necessarily vows and contracts. They're just, like strawberry and ice, whether you choose strawberry or chocolate ice cream. They're just choices. And I'm going to do a video on choices at a later date so you can kind of understand what I'm talking about there. There's a lot of information that's come through me and what they want me to share. So I'm just letting my guides, my higher self and source, and my Egyptian team to guide me in how to share this information properly. Okay, so today is this this information. So all the way back from Atlantis, we've made all these choices. Like you could have made a choice to separate from unity consciousness, and that has then created this reality that you keep cycling in, where civilizations rise and civilizations fall, and it seems to be the same thing over and over and over again. The same souls, or the same higher selves, not all of them, but the same ones that are potentially causing friction in your life today are the same ones that were here during Atlantis, ancient Egypt, Roman times, as well as the founding fathers, and then throughout the history of the US. So today I really want to talk about those founding fathers. Many of you may have had lives during that time, and if you did, you have to work on clearing that. You have to make peace with the founding fathers. Now, sometimes the founding fathers will come through, but I don't sense them today, but know that in the future they may. Abe Lincoln is around a lot, even though he's not considered a founding father. He feels very responsible for the path of the US. So since the inception of the US, there was a vision. There was a vision of true equality and balance and peace and all the things that we, the people, would look like, okay? But there were powers that were in control that manipulated it so that we didn't necessarily get what we wanted. And we ended up with what I call we the property, or we the money, which is the same fight we've been in for 250 years. It's always been about property. Yes, it's whether it's slavery or whatever, it's still property. And even some of the battles that are going on today is about whether or not this country is about we the property or we the people. And you're in a choice moment where you get to choose which version of the United States you want to connect to in the future. From a quantum reality, there are zillions of different timelines. There's probably more than zillions, but I don't know another number beyond zillions, so that's what you're going to get. But there are so many different iterations. Every time you think about what you want, a new timeline is created just for you. And that means that you can totally change the trajectory of what version of the US you get today, tomorrow, next month, and into the future. But to do that, you have to work on the pain points, the inner work, on where things have gone sideways for you. So energetic trauma from past lives, which is what my energy healing modality does on an individual basis, or you can learn how to do it yourself. How you can clear that. And the only reason why we keep repeating these same cycles over and over and over and over and over again is because we're not looking at where those pain points come. A lot of people in past lives might go back to Atlantis or ancient Egypt. And yes, that is totally part of it. It's all interwoven. They're not separate. But currently in the cycle that we are, especially with these last 100-year cycles where we had the inception of the United States with the Revolutionary War, and then we went into the Civil War, which was about 100 years later. Shortly after that, we have the early 1900s, and now we're in the early 2000s. And we're just in that cycle where the same souls that we have contracts from and even trauma from in a past life, even going back to Atlantis, is just repeating. And the way forward is not for us to fight it, not for us to fear it, not for us to be angry at it, to make peace with it. Your vibrational frequency, your emotion of how you feel about things is what is going to determine what timeline you connect to. You have the power to choose what path you want to be on. And no one else has to be on that same path. This is your reality. And everyone else is just playing a role in that reality to make the choices and the trauma and the beliefs and your own programming to make that true. So if you needed a starting point to understand what is currently going on in the political scape of things, you need to look at the founding fathers. You need to make peace with that. A lot of us hold a lot of deep anger around the founding fathers, feeling like they didn't go far enough. Many of them were slave owners, which I'll actually explain in a later video what that's all about and why some of the things happen. And know that not everything that you're going to pick up is written in a history book. For the same reason why I've said there's there's zillions of different timelines. Well, your version of history is not necessarily going to be the same as someone else's. And that's not wrong. It's just the experience that your soul has chosen to grow through. So common things with founding fathers, anger. Okay, they didn't go far enough. They gave up the goods. They gave up to the bad side, whichever way you look at it. And they gave it in and they felt bad for them. So they gave them more, whatever. They felt like they couldn't get it all, so they only took a little, and then now we're still in that same cycle over and over again. I've eventually run some type of class or healing where we can really get into the nitty-gritties of this. Whether it's 1 or 2 people are interested or 100, doesn't matter. The more of us who do this, the more of that we build a collective that gets out of this cycle entirely, that's truly built on love. This is where we're going. We're being, given the choice of whether we want to fully embody that love experience, which is what we had in Lemuria, like Garden of Eden kind of energy, versus where we are now. But there's a lot of energy out there that would like you to feel like you have to fight it, that you have to watch it, that you have to get emotionally involved in it. And all of that stuff is just stealing your power. You create your reality, every single ounce of it. And you get to choose whether or not this continuing cycle is something that you want to experience again. And if it's not, you need to find out why not. So take a trip back in time and look at the founding fathers. Have you made peace with them? Have you made peace with what they planned to do and then they didn't do because well, there's multiple things, which I'll get into more in other videos, where they came in with a vision, and because of the patriarchy, and even potentially English king at that point, they gave up a lot of material so that they could just get a little, that they could get the foundation of the country settled, and that they would work towards changing it in the future so that it would be more in balance with what its original intention was. Now, we're in a cycle with every time we get to a certain point where we've pushed that they push back, and then we have to almost like cycle back and try to get everything back. And that's the same thing that's happening now. The same thing with the Civil War. The same thing, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the early 1800s that even before like the Great Depression, there was a lot of rules and laws changed that really affected our ability to be who we were supposed to be. So you got to look at all that stuff. The other thing to know about this is everything that happens in your reality out there that triggers you is something inside of yourself. You create your reality. Nothing outside is not showing up because it isn't something inside of you that you're sending a signal for. So an example of this for many of my clients is that and myself is that I was still running the fact that the Civil War was still active. Now, the Civil War itself is over, right? There's no more fighting physically out in the US anywhere, but it very much was taken to the halls of Congress and to the halls of different states and so forth. But because we energetically still have that war within us, you could be manifesting proof of that in your reality. So that's an example of something that you would need to clear so that you can then start to see a reality after that, and align to that timeline where that's not even an energy. Okay, there's been a lot of potential talk about all of that, and that's really just a manifestation, like your higher self telling you, like, you need to look at this. Why is this even a thing? And it's not because of something outside of you, it's actually something inside of you. Your whole reality is based on your beliefs, emotional triggers, vows, contracts, and oaths, choices, and some of it's neutral, but the things that keep getting repeated that definitely trigger you, you need to look at, because your higher self is showing you through sound or visual or feeling where the issues are and why you can't get yourself out of that chaotic model that we've been in for tens of thousands of years. If we go back to Atlantis, remember, these are the same souls that caused us all those problems in Atlantis are the same ones that are here now. There are pharaohs in Congress from Egypt. A lot of the same leaders are, whether they're in Congress or whether they're spread across the US, it doesn't matter. They're not all the same. There's reincarnations of founding fathers in Congress. And again, not all of them, but a good majority of them. So we're dealing with the same people again. These are not different people that just happen to be following similar roles. They're literally the same higher selves that we have dealt with through other iterations of time. And it's not so that we keep punishing ourselves, right? It's so that whatever it is, lessons that we needed to learn back 250 years ago, that we can learn them now and we can fix the things that are causing us to repeat this cycle with the same souls over and over and over again. I would really like to have my next reincarnation to be with a different set, or maybe a different version of the set that works for the greater good instead of all of this stuff that's currently going on. So I'll go more into all of this at a later video. Please like and subscribe this video if you find this interesting or you want to find out more. There's a lot of fear out there, and I'm being pushed to really share this so people understand really what's going on and know that you're in control. Okay, have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.